Hello and happy Shocktober. I am by myself today. My name's Jessica Sennett. I am the founder of Cheese Grotto, and I'm going to talk with you a little bit about the cheeses that we are featuring in the October subscription box, which are really fun because they are bringing in some of the spooky Halloween theme. We are also featuring two cheeses that have um, a wash with either bourbon. The bourbon is actually more of a soak for that cheese, and then also a uh, exterior wash of with another cheese of cider. So you have some really nice fall flavors, some really great cheeses to pair with beers and ciders and whiskeys as the weather starts to cool down and the leaves are changing. So yeah, very excited to just chat a little bit about the three cheeses and some of my favorite kinds of pairings. So I would say the most explicitly Halloween theme is the Petite Boo. You'll see a lot of times you'll find some of these types of cheeses by cheesemakers that are released during the month of October that have a very vibrant orange interior, and then there is a little bit of a black rind on the exterior. So we'll talk a little bit more about how that is produced. So this is the Petite Boo from Marin French Cheese Co. I'm sure if you have been around with Cheese Grotto for a bit, you might have tried something else from them in another box. This is their petite creme recipe. So their triple creme brie, which means that they will essentially add cream to the milk before setting the curd. And then after they set the curd with rennet, they will ladle it off into the forms, allow it to drain, and that drained curd in the form will then be flipped and salted and then allowed to ripen in a cave. But there's a little bit of additional elements to the Petite Boo to make it Halloween ready. So I'm just going to open it up here and we can take a look together. It's got that nice, lovely, bloomy rind to the exterior. But you'll also see that there's these like whispers of black that are coming through. That is an ash ripened element. So basically, the cheese is rolled in vegetable ash before it's placed into the cellar to ripen and develop its exterior rind, this white bloom. And the ash is an aesthetic reason in this case, but it also traditionally was used for regulating and controlling the acidity level and curing the exterior of a cheese that was exposed to oxygen. So essentially like a protective layer on the cheese. It did have a functional purpose. It does not impart a lot of flavor to the cheese at all. I mean, you might get a little bit of a minerality to the rind, but it is very subtle. It's mostly about the aesthetics at this point when it's added to cheeses, as well as an additional way to control the acidity level in the ripening process of a cheese. So I have my cheese grotto mezzo here, which is what I love to use at home for storing cheese. I personally am a huge fan of the black shelving. The black shelving is made out of recycled paper and tree resin. And so basically it's dishwasher safe. You can actually write the name of the cheese on here with soapstone chalk, which we include with the grotto whenever you get a grotto with a black shelf. And it's just really easy to maintain. That's why I love the black shelving. So easy to maintain. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it on here. Actually, it's going to be a nice stark contrast to our interior of the cheese. Uh, and a lot of sometimes I'll use a skeleton cheese knife. That's actually appropriate for Halloween as well, the name of this style of cheese knife. Mostly it's a sharp bladed knife that has cut holes in the blade surface. And so what that does is it minimizes how much the paste can grab onto the blade while you're cutting the cheese. So that sharpness of the edge plus these holes and gaps in the blade make it so that you get the cleanest cut possible on softer cheeses. So it's a really great option. I mean, obviously, if you have a cheese wire at home, that's the most clean and direct way to cut a soft cheese, but this is really great, like versatile and like the function works wonderfully for a lot of different styles from soft to semi-firm to firm. So the grand reveal here. Ah! So you'll see it's really nice and orange in the interior, and you can see that lining right underneath that white bloomy rind of that vegetable ash there. I allowed this cheese to sit out for about an hour before cutting into it. And you can see there's still a little bit of a density in the center of the cheese, but the exterior of the cheese is really the best. It's like basically got like a nice spreadable creamy exterior to it. So how did it get this color? Let's talk a little bit about that. So the color of the interior of the cheese is dyed with annatto seed. Anytime you see a very vibrant orange cheese, um, the milk doesn't naturally look like that ever. So what they do is they'll take this seed, this natural seed, and they will actually dye the milk and the cream before setting the curd so that you get this really awesome vibrant hue, which has like these classic Halloween colors to it. Sometimes what I'll do with this style of cheese, I don't think I'm going to share it in a little bit, but we have some photos of what we did for plating with all of the pairings. And if you just cut a little jack-o'-lantern face on the top of the cheese here, it'll look really fun. The orange will pop through, and it's a really great festive way to enjoy it. So the aroma is definitely very mushroomy, and there's like a doughy kind of yeastiness to it as well. But yes, it does have like more vegetal qualities to it in general, which is really it's really got like really nice, just like your classic triple creme style. So yeah, this cheese is like a really great classic. It is, something that's, just a very approachable cheese that you can put on any cheese board, very much a crowd pleaser. And is made by the longest operating creamery in the US, started in the gold rush in 1865. So, yeah, I hope you really enjoy this cheese. I really like this kind of style with a sparkling white. I also like it with, more of a like a lighter beer. So something like a, wheat beer or a dry cider. So if you're getting into some like apple flavors and dry ciders, that can be really fun with this too. Uh, the second one that we have up here is the Deer Creek Cheese Nightwalker, which is this is a cheese that has been bathed in 5-year-old bourbon uh, from J. Henry and Sons. So it has a really nice depth of flavor from the contribution of this type of age with the bourbon. The cheese is aged for 18 months, which I found for Deer Creek. Maybe you've had some of their other cheeses uh, through our website or through our subscription from them, but they have a really nice cheddar called the Stag, which is usually aged around 17 months. This is aged for 18 months, so it develops a little bit more depth of flavor. But around this window, you get some really awesome full-bodied flavors from the cheese. So we shall try it together. So with this kind of style, I do really love to just crumble it because a lot of times with these more aged cheddars, they do have a tendency to want to just fall apart and break apart anyway. So having like a little bit of like a cheddar mountain is always one of my preferred ways to plate this style of cheese. Just because sometimes if you try to cut it and slice it, it will just kind of start to crumble. So this is a really great way to showcase it on a little board. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at this cheese. I mean, it smells amazing. It has like this fruitiness from the bourbon, like a little bit of like a smokiness and a fruitiness from the bourbon. A lot of times with their stag cheddar, which is aged very and made very similarly, it has more of like a buttered popcorn aroma to it. But you can really smell with the addition of the bourbon soak that it like brings in this like depth of flavor, and depth of aroma. Wow. No, it's really kind of incredible how like the bourbon, there's like a bourbon undertone to it, but the cheese itself balances out like all of the like intensity of the bourbon so that it really just has like some of the classic bourbon flavor profile like embedded into the flavor of the cheese. It's definitely like got this fruitiness, it's got this like a little bit of a smokiness to it. It's really delicious. It really has like a lovely balance to it. I'm just gonna plate all these little cheeses on here together. So yeah, definitely, of course, a great pairing for this would be bourbon. That would make sense. Um, I also think something like a barley wine, like something that's got like a little bit more body to it in terms of beer would be really awesome. Um, but yeah, it's incredible. Like you really can taste the bourbon coming through. I would recommend with all of these cheeses that you have them at room temperature when you do enjoy them because then you're able to really pick up on the nuance in a way that you can't when the cheese just comes out of the refrigerator. It just does, you're not able to pick up on a lot of the undertones of the flavor profile and texture. So always recommend, I always very highly recommend that you take them out and enjoy them a little bit after they've been able to relax. So this third cheese that we have here, this is called Pious Eddy. Pious Eddy is inspired by a the monks. That's why you have pious in the name. So, traditionally monks have been known for starting the washed rind cheese phenomenon. So the reason that it came about in France and Belgium is that you had the monks had fresh cow's milk on their farm, and so they would also produce beer, right? So they would basically produce cheese and then wash it in the beer or a brine, and it was still a quite fresh milk that they were using, so the curd wasn't that acidic. And so it attracts this like orange hue of bacteria, which, is an ode to Halloween here as well. But this one is actually washed with cider as well. It's made in Granville, Ohio. Black Radish Creamery is pretty small. They make us do small production runs, so it's really fun to explore a lot of their cheeses, which are like very unique, very high quality. Really have I mean, they're very comparable in terms of the quality to a lot of European styles of cheese. So it is very exciting to try their all of their selection. We're going to be trying like a few other things from them throughout the months, scattered amongst the months. Because yeah, we love supporting like a smaller cheesemaker and curating and being able to showcase everything that they're doing. It's quite impressive. Um, so yeah, so what we can do is just with this cheese here, it is like quite spreadable, right? Like this is another cheese where like it's like night or day. Like if you were to just take it out of the fridge and eat it, honestly, I don't think it's going to be that good. I think it is just a style of cheese that you have to take out of the fridge in order for it to fully open up in the texture and flavor because it is a soft ripened cheese as well, similarly to the Petite Boo. But the main difference is it doesn't develop that white rind. It just develops these B linens, these salt-loving bacteria on the exterior, which give it like a funky aroma. And sometimes we have people who have the subscription who to say, no, please do not give me any funky cheeses. Um, but you know, this cheese has a lovely flavor. It just needs to open up. It needs to air out. It needs to relax at room temperature. And then you get this really lovely, like doughy, bready, very approachable flavor profile, which is like incredible when spread on a piece of bread or a baguette. It really is just so good. So amazing with dry cider. Also, this is a great cheese style for sparkling wine as well, because it's got this really nice, rich, bready, doughy characteristic. And a lot of times you get this, stone fruit, pear, bready characteristic from sparkling brew, for example. So they actually just go together incredibly well. So definitely really recommend that too if you are looking more into wine. But look at this. I let this sit out and this is what it does. If you just take this out, it does not do this. If you just take it out of the fridge and eat it. Um, it has these vegetal notes to it, like asparagus and broccoli, some like brassicas, maybe a little bit of Brussels sprout to it. Um, it's just like an incredibly dynamic cheese that also, as it ages, it will get a little bit more earthy in the characteristics. When it's younger, it still has like that fresh, more doughy, bready note is like more dominant. This wheel that I have is a little bit on the older side. It's actually a sample that the cheesemaker sent me for photography a few weeks ago. I could I just got like a pop of apple right there. It took that long for that to come out when I was trying this cheese. But it is kind of incredible that you get this like full experience and you notice you can compare between the Night Walker and the Pious Eddy in terms of these washes and what they actually contribute to the cheese. And it's really interesting to see how much of a symbiotic relationship these alcohols can be with cheeses, and that can really help to bring out a more rounded and full-bodied cheese flavor. Um, and you don't even need to drink the alcohol unless you really want to, and then please do. But yes, like I assume everybody who has this cheese subscription has some level of interest or knowledge in cheese already. Um, so I always assume, you know that the rinds are edible on these cheeses, that they do contribute to the flavor. As the cheese gets older, the cheese rind will get stronger. And once we get into that stronger territory, you get to determine how you want to enjoy it. I find that when these soft ripened cheeses like the Petite Boo or the Pious Eddy, once they get more intense and more aged in the flavor, I find sometimes I like to add something additional to the cheese as a pairing in order to find like more balance. So definitely that's when like having a beverage come into the picture, like a dry cider could be awesome. I love honey with those styles to help balance out the flavor. We included in our kit this cranberry Cabernet jam, which is really awesome because you get this lovely tartness from the cranberry. You get a little bit of the wine flavor and like the fruitiness from the wine as well. So it really helps to cut through and as well as stand up to the cheeses that we have here, which I really like. So having a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of fruitiness to balance out like a little if the rind does get a little bit too intense for you. I also definitely recommend having like fresh bread, something that you can smear the cheese on and have it kind of like embedded into the bread itself. It's just going to be freaking delicious that way. Like it's just that style of cheese. We have these seeded crackers, which are freaking phenomenal, that are part of the October box. They are from Top Seed and they're women owned, and they make these like gluten-free crackers that are so addictive. And I definitely like those are great with all these different cheeses as well. You can use them almost like dip it into the cheese, and you get like more of a denser, nuttier quality from the cracker because there's no nuts in it, but just like the roasted seeds have that really great complement, and that's like more textural contrast that you can have there. Um, we serve this also with a pâté, and that is something that's in our cheese subscription box for October if you do add pairings. So to add a little bit of meatiness to these cheeses that have some more bolder flavors, you can make a lovely little baguette sandwich with pâté and the Pious Eddy and call it a day. So that's a really awesome pairing that you have there. And then, classic Kalamata olives. Those, are just going to add a really nice briny fruitiness to everything and tie it together. Um, so yes, I hope you all have a great October. And I'm sorry that Carrie isn't here. She would be a ball to have on this call this month, but you know what? It ain't over. Maybe we can figure out another time to invite her on, and she will be back in November for the happy hour then. And I am going to just share my screen to show you some of what I did with the board and all of the pairings. So let me share my screen. Yes, so this is what I mean. Like when you have the Petite Boo here, you can just cut an awesome little face in the top there. And that's just ready to go for any October cheese board. You see, I love to crumble the cheeses, the cheddars here. And I kept this one whole because it does get quite soft. And so because of that, it doesn't really makes sense to pre-cut it. I just like to serve it with a knife. I pre-sliced the pâté, the Alexian pâté that we have here. The cranberry cabernet jam is just like ready to go to plate on a board, and then you get this like nice brininess. And I always like from the olives, but I always like to put a little bit of, rosemary to just brighten up the board or like some kind of herbs, and then some crackers as well. These are those awesome top seed crackers. Amazing. Yeah, these are some of the photos that I took of the cheese box. You'll see that we have you can make it spooky, add some candles, set the mood, invite people over, play a little Ouija board, and just have a great October and enjoy the fall and the spooky season. Bye.